Hello YouTube, this is a Satsu. Got an interesting story to tell you. I'm going to be driving while I'm filming, so I'm not going to be looking at the camera. There's this Mexican food restaurant that I'm leaving called Little Mexico, and I like to come here occasionally to practice my Spanish. I've done it a couple times, so I sat down to do this, to not only eat, but to practice my Spanish. And I had a waitress, camarera, I think is how you say it, wait on me, and she had what I call a forever tan and an accent. So I was like, all right, ¿tú eres bilingüe? She says, I don't think we have that. I said, no, are you bilingual? She's like, I don't understand. I said, I'm sorry, I'm trying to practice Spanish. She goes, I'm Middle Eastern. So, awkward moment there. And I was thinking about it the whole time I was eating there. And this is going to segue to a video that I've tried to film several times and I wasn't happy with it. And I can make this intro video a lot longer than it needs to be, and I can make my purpose filmed video a lot longer than it needs to be. But I didn't ask her what side of the wall she's from. I didn't ask her what side of the Abrahamic religious coin she was. I didn't ask where she was from or what religion she was. But she said she was Middle Eastern and she wasn't wearing a hijab. But anyways, I wanted to ask her, hey, where are you from? What's your worldview? Because I had that exact same I was compelled to ask a other person who was wearing a robe and a turban and, stereotypical Middle Eastern wear several years ago. I wanted to ask him about his beliefs and stuff, not start a war or be rude or anything. I'm genuinely curious, but I felt at that time that I wasn't prepared. At the time, I haven't even finished the Bible, the Torah, Tanakh, Gospels, New Testament. I haven't finished that yet. Had zero knowledge of Islam. My knowledge of Islam at the time was 72 virgins and 9/11, which I feel a lot of us are at that point. We know about 72 virgins, 9/11, and that's what we know about Islam. And this also happened here recently. One of my coworkers noticed that I occasionally watch videos on Islam. I occasionally read from the Quran, and I wear and they joke about this a lot, I wear a shamag during the winter and sometimes during the summer as face protectant, from the sun and cold and wind. And they make several jokes about that. But they said, Austin, are you turning jihadi on us? Or are you turning into a terrorist? I said, not at all. I said, if I disagree with something, I need to know what I disagree with. I claim I disagree with Islam, and I felt compelled to learn more about it. So I could say, hey, the Quran and the Hadith teach this, this, and this. The Bible teaches this. How do you reconcile this? Because the Quran says that no one can change Allah's words. And according to the Quran, the Torah and the whole New Testament are Allah's words. And if you don't know, a lot of people say that Paul corrupted the Bible. But there's several other verses that I want to share with y'all, not while I'm driving. But I didn't do it this time because she's on the clock, she's serving other people. But I really wanted to ask her some questions, not a full-on debate or not like I just want to, hey, where are you from? What's your worldview? Just strike up a friendly conversation. I didn't. Like, again, she's serving other people. If it was a lot slower in there, I might have asked her those questions. But yes, I do read from the Quran occasionally. I attempted the Hadith. The Hadith was complicated, but I want to make a YouTube series sharing some of the Quran's teachings and comparing them to what the Bible says. And keep in mind, I'm no theologian expert. Theology is an interest of mine, and I like learning about theology. I like philosophy. There's several YouTube channels that cover these topics, like Apostate Prophet and Acts 17 Apologetics, that are highly recommended by me. But it's an interest of mine, and I feel the best way you can convert a Muslim is to show them where their book falls apart, and kind of nudge them in the direction of, okay, this is truth right here. The Quran says this is truth, and see where it goes from there. And I want to state some things. I disagree with Islam. I don't know if I'm an Islamophobe. I'm definitely freaked out by ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, Sharia law. Don't like that stuff at all. But I don't hate Muslims. Just like I don't hate atheists. I don't hate Buddhists. I believe that Islam is a cancer, but I don't hate Muslims. I feel sorry for them. As do I feel sorry for atheists and Buddhists and Hinduists and stuff. But Islam is a little bit different than atheism, or at least mild atheism, and Buddhism, is that Islam has some very violent teachings that has poisoned civilization, with like ISIS, for example. So, that's kind of the difference with Islam versus Buddhism. You don't hear about Buddhists really courting other people. And I'm not saying that all Muslims are terrorists. That is definitely not the case. But it's in their doctrine, from what I've been able to gather. I haven't finished the whole entire Quran. But it's definitely spread by the sword type of deal. And I just wanted to share that with you. I went to a Mexican food restaurant, saw a waitress with a forever tan and an accent, and I tried to speak to them in Spanish, and she said she was Middle Eastern. I don't know what part of the Middle East she's from. I don't know what religion or worldview she is. And I apologized. I said, hey, I'm sorry. I was trying to practice my Spanish, and just to kind of notice the obvious, this was a very awkward moment, and I apologize. She says, oh, it's okay. People try to talk Spanish to me all the time. So, yeah, it was very interesting. So, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Share your opinions on this video series that I want to get into. And my channel isn't going to be heavy into Islamic teachings. It's just going to be a few video series every now and then. And I feel these verses are good to know because it defeats the Quran. And it's actually in the Quran. Or Quran. Don't know the best way to say it, because I'm from East Texas. But that's it. Thought I'd share that with you. I'm a Satsu 5, and I'm out.